Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
This is exactly how I imagine you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. Last week, Callum Hood from Five Sauce came on, and his new album is just incredible. Worth checking out on Spotify, and of course, go back and listen to that episode if you missed it. Now, you might have seen this, AC/DC. A big announcement. They're coming back. It's playing the Adelaide 500 November 27 to 30, or as it's also known as the Adelaide Grand Final. A lot of things going on late last week. Sightings of AC/DC in Melbourne on the famous Richmond silos. And, of course, I think we're expecting an announcement sometime this week that AC/DC will bring the Power Up tour back to Australia.
This is The Rider.
This week on The Rider, a band that have been coming down here to Australia for the last 4 years. And, in fact, they're a massive name back in Ireland. Debuting in 2003. This is the Coronas. They met in university. They formed a band. They gave us this in 2007. Then in 2009, their second album. 2011. Addicted to Progress.
I put the end of it in our toes, so nobody could find us. Let the colors always find us.
2014.
I'm not too sure what I've become. Gonna try as hard as anyone. Do you wanna go again once more this year? Apart the car.
And then in 2020, this has got to be one of my favourite songs of all time. Every single time this band put out a release, it gets into the top 3 of the Irish charts. At the back end of 2024, the Coronas gave us this. That's exactly what love is.
Putting someone else's heart above your own. That's what love is.
8 albums since 2003. They're coming back in November here in Australia. 3 massive concerts. I got Danny from the Coronas here. Danny, how are you?
I'm great, Becko. How are you?
Mate, I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me. I know it's morning over there, and over here it's 1 o'clock. So anyway,
Nice.
Mate, congratulations. You're coming back for the 4th time in 4 years.
I know, man. It's so exciting. We are buzzing. We are buzzing to be heading back. It's such a great time of year. We always seem to time it really well. The end of November is such a good time to get away from cold, wet, damp Ireland and get over and get some sun and do some fun shows and have a little whirlwind of a weekend with 3 shows in 3 days. So it's we've, as you say, we've done it the last few years, and every year it's been just getting a little bit bigger and better. So we're so happy to be back again.
Well, it really is a great time to come over because everyone over here is so excited about Christmas coming up. It's warming up, and you are too, because you head back to Ireland and you do a bunch of sort of Christmas shows as a bit of a tradition, which is lovely.
Yeah, in this beautiful venue in Dublin called the Olympia Theatre. We play there every Christmas, and we plan to again this December. So yeah, it is. It's always great to come back, and at least it's Christmas time. So it breaks up the winter back home, because it's as I say, it's very dark and wet at that time of year. But yeah, it's become part of the schedule now to go to Australia before we go into that Christmas run, and long may it continue, Becko, because we love it. We love going over there. So, yeah, we're buzzing.
There's a lot in common with Aussies and Irish too. I mean, you would have figured that out by now. I think we almost could be brothers in arms. We love a drink. We love a party. We love good food. And I think we're also very friendly. Like both our countries are very similar with that.
100%. I see those similarities a lot, and also the Aussies love their music as well, the same way we do, and I think there's a history of just storytelling in Ireland that has sort of transferred down to the music scene, and there's a lot of great music in Ireland, and I think Australia has that too. So, yeah, we've always been welcomed there every time we go over, and it's great. It's great fun seeing because obviously we have a lot of Irish people to come to our shows over there, but there's also Aussies, and just seeing how they interact with each other, and it's great fun, and it's great fun for us to do it. But you're right, there is a lot of similarities, and especially the enjoying the odd drink and having a good time and not taking life too seriously. I think that's key as well, and being able to have a laugh at yourself and things like that. There's a lot of personality traits that I think are common.
I think so too, and that's the thing. I mean, in Australia, the pub rock scene is very much something similar to the Irish, rock scene in your bars. Are there any Aussie bands you were sort of aware of when you were growing up? Maybe like In Excess or Midnight Oil, maybe?
In Excess were a little bit before my time. I think. Like recently, there's been definitely a few bands that I'm a huge fan of. Gang of Youths, you know Gang of Youths?
Oh, Gang of Youths,
yeah.
I think would have to be in the last easily the decade. I think Australia's greatest band, easily.
Yeah, I love their last two records, especially Go Farther in Lightness. I still go back and listen to. And I just love his way with words and the sound and everything about it. It's just so exciting, and they've definitely been an influence on me. There's an amazing music that has come from there. What's that guy that does all the songs on Scrubs? Remember that TV show?
Oh God, yeah. Is that Men at Work? Men at Work?
Yeah, Men at Work. Men at Work.
Yeah,
it is Men at Work. Yeah. I love that guy. He's great. That's the singer.
I'm glad you're a big fan of Gang of Youths, because I'm sort of waiting in anticipation, because I think they're working on something as we speak, and it's been a while since the last album. But Go Farther in Lightness, it's like that album you put on when you want to be sad, like it's very deep, very emotional.
Yeah.
If you're going through a breakup or something, you pop it on like Radiohead, It's the same
exactly
thing.
It's so true, and I've actually never seen them live. I'd say they're amazing live as well. That's on my list. So yeah, you're right, they have been quiet for a while. Hopefully they've got some new music and they do some touring, because the last time they played in Dublin, we were away somewhere. I couldn't get to see them, and my buddy, who is like our agent here, he knows that I'm a huge fan, and he was messaging me from the show like, "Oh, this is great, you're missing it." And I was like, "Oh man, next time for sure." So hopefully I'll get to see them live sometime, or at a festival or something. That'd be cool. I did meet Dave. Is it Dave LePep? Is that his name?
Yeah, that's it.
I met him once in a studio in London, and he was such a sweet guy. He was so nice, and I was like fanboying him, like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan," and he was just so nice, so lovely, and just such a nice guy. And they were working on their most recent album. Was it Angel in Real Time?
That's it.
And at that stage when I met him, and he was like, "Oh, I'm having a nightmare, and I don't like anything that I'm writing." And he was so self-critical. He's like, "I had the whole album written, and then I just threw it out, and we're starting again." And I was like, "What?" But he was so interesting, such a nice guy, so lovely.
And I think also, I think it might have been a previous album, they lost the entire album as well. I think it was like
Really?
it was on a laptop and left it on a plane or something like that. And you just think, well, maybe things happen for a reason as a creative.
Exactly.
I mean,
you get to re-record it.
Yeah, like it might have been just a bad album.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that in songwriting as well. If I write something and I don't remember it, like later on that day or whatever, if I have to go back and it's like, it probably wasn't that good. If I've forgotten about it, it probably wasn't that great. So yeah, hopefully they remembered whatever they lost.
So what is your method when it comes to writing music? Because I think it's been 8 albums off the top of my head, and is it one of those things where you're constantly writing, or you're waiting to get in the zone, or is it using your iPhone and putting it in the notes function or whatever?
Yeah, a bit of that. Sometimes I'll record the voice memos is great as well for throwing down little ideas. But we have a bit of time off this week, so I just decided we spend a lot of time writing in the southwest corner of Ireland in Dingle, County Kerry, and I'm here right now. I've just got my little studio set up. It's very, very DIY, very basic, but we've got a nice piano here, and I just lock myself away and start working on some ideas, and then I'll bring them to the other members of the band, and we'll flesh them out and work on them together, and that's when they really become Corona songs. So, in answer to your question, I try and write anytime we have a bit of a gap between touring. So we if we have a few weeks off, and I'll try and lock myself away somewhere and do some writing and just build up the songs over the year. And our rough plan is to record early January. So I've got a handful of songs already written for the next one. But in between all the little tours we're doing, we're going to America next month, and we've got some Irish shows and festivals, and obviously Australia later in the year. But in between all those, I'll be working on trying to write for the next record, and hopefully it'll be ready to go in January.
Do you look forward to going back on the road?
Well, it's funny, we all love touring, and we've been doing it for a long time, and it can be tiring, and you do miss people from home and family and stuff like that, but we do really enjoy it, and we enjoy the process, and regardless of how big the shows are, we actually just enjoy touring and getting to see the world. And I love getting to a new city and just putting the headphones in and going for a walk and just grabbing a coffee and just getting a sense of a place. And America is especially good for that because every city feels different. The difference between New York and San Francisco, is just huge. And if you wake up in Boston, it feels like Boston. Actually, I think Australia,
like Ireland.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually think Australia has that as well. Like, if you plonked me in the middle of Melbourne, I could tell pretty quickly that I'm in Melbourne, even though I don't know the geography of the place, that sort of way. And likewise with Sydney and Perth, for sure. So we love touring. And we're very lucky now that we're at the stage where we have our own record label. There isn't a label breathing down our necks saying we got to do this, we got to do that. We can sort of plan our own year out and a schedule of touring and writing, and we get to control all that stuff, and that is rare in this day and age, but we love it. And the other thing about having your own label is, when things are going badly, you can always blame the record label. You go, they didn't promote us, or they didn't release the right single or whatever. But when you're your own label, you've got no one to look at but yourself. So it actually makes us work harder. we set up our own label, and we were like, okay, well, we better get going here. So it's made us work harder, I think. But as I say, thankfully we still love it, and people still want to hear our new stuff, which is exciting.
Do you work better under pressure? Like when you are working for a major label, often they'll want something really quick turnaround, but when you're doing it yourself, obviously you got your own time. You know when it's the right time, but you don't quite have that element of quick turnaround.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, it takes me a couple of days to get going. Like I wouldn't be able to just go into a recording space in Dublin and start writing now. Like, I need to come down here. I came down here yesterday. I knew I had these interviews today. I haven't done anything, but I think by tonight maybe I might feel okay. Maybe now I'll start messing around with some ideas and trying some things, or tomorrow maybe. So it does take me a couple of days to adapt, and I need to give myself that space sort of to be creative. So you have to allow time for that. Like, I still definitely am one of those songwriters that sees myself as the vessel of the song. Like, it's not really me that's writing it. It's just sort of, you have to just get out of its way and let it come through you, sort of. And when it's going well, when you're sort of flowing, that's the way it is anyway. And I sort of need to give myself the space to do that. So in answer to your question, I don't really work well when I'm given, we need an album by next week. Like, that'll just freak me out and weigh on me. And it's happened to me a couple of times, and it's definitely stressed me out. One in particular, when we signed to Island Records, we moved to London, and we signed a big record deal, and we had toured extensively. And then they did turn around and was like, okay, we need to look at going to the studio maybe in a couple of months. And I think or in a month or so, and I had only one song written, and I was so freaked out. It was weighed so heavily on me. So now I do try and do bits in between tours. So even though I'm only here for a few days this week, we've got some more festivals next weekend, and then I'll make time then after America and just try and keep tipping along. Sorry, that was a long answer to your simple question.
No. It's usually the opposite. So that's great.
Nice.
How did you adjust to moving to London, by the way? Because it's sort of it is the done thing when you're in the UK.
Yeah.
You move to London and you tour and play residencies and all that kind of thing. Did you like it, or were you happy to go back to Ireland?
It's Ireland. Yeah, it took us a while. The first 6 months I found difficult. It's such a big city. It's so anonymous, and we were already doing quite well in Ireland. So it was like we were a big fish in a small pond. And then we moved to London, and it just felt it definitely took us a while to adapt. After a few months, we got to know the area. We loved it, and I those years in London, we spent 3.5 years there, and it was probably my favorite time. We had such a ball. We wrote a lot of music, and we lived in a house together, and that was good while it lasted. But then when we came back to Ireland, we were like, okay, we got away with that, guys. Let's not live together and just work together. That's enough, I think. And that's helped us, I think, keep our somewhat sanity and friendship. But it was a great time. I have very fond memories of London, and actually, we just played there. We just did a little UK tour last month, and we got to play in a venue that was very close to where we lived, and we did 2 nights there, and it was just so nice that we had that time to be back in the old neighborhood and see some old friends and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. But we were ready to move back to Ireland as well. Dublin will always feel like home to us,
I had a wild few weeks over there, staying on a couch at my friend's place in Brixton, and
oh, nice, yeah.
And he was playing. He's in a band there as well. He's moved back now, but at the time he was in his punk band in his pub in the back streets of Brixton. The entire other side of the street was all abandoned, and I was thinking to myself, this how would have been, back when people like the Clash.
And that's the cool thing about London. Like, for example, as well, if you go to Camden as well, it really feels like a snapshot of what Camden. It's like a caricature of itself. Like, and you can feel the bands that have played in those venues. And there is a lot of amazing venues. We've been lucky enough to play in a good few great venues in London. But it definitely has a feel of it. I don't think I could live there forever, but it was a lot of fun being there.
Were you saying how that was a good lesson on keeping the band together, because it's been 22 years or so now. Was that a good little lesson? Do you have your own space back home? Do you guys talk every day, or do you sort of tone it down a little bit and give each other a bit of a break?
Yeah, it was funny. Like, we were friends before the band started. Myself and our bass player have been friends since we were toddlers. Like, our parents were friends, so, and Connor, our drummer, went to primary school with me, so we've known each other our whole lives. We were friends before the band got going, and we're still friends. But you're right, we've gotten better at knowing when we need a break from each other. And so we have separate groups and different, obviously we have our families as well, but we have separate groups of friends as well. And even when we moved to London that time, I went down and just joined a local random footy team, because I didn't want to do everything with the guys. I wanted a break, and I know myself, and I need, I need space and different times. So, and I think we all realize that we've got better at communicating. So yeah, it's definitely, we've gotten better at dealing with that. And then, so what I'm saying is, when we have a lot of time off, we might not hang out loads, even though we're still friends. I mean, our birthdays are in the same month. We had a joint birthday party 2 months ago, and it was a lot of fun. And all our friends got together and our families and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. But so we are friends. We do hang out, but not all the time. Especially when we've been on tour for a while, we'll give each other a break, and then the next time we have a tour, or the next time we have to go into the studio to write, it's like, oh, hey, mate, it's been ages, and we can sort of are happy to see each other. So it's like, I suppose it's probably like a marriage. You need to know when you need space and when, but I mean, yeah, we're probably in contact every day, whether it be in just a WhatsApp group or you know, there could be the fact that we started our own label is there's the whole business side of it as well that we have to stay on top of, and planning what we're going to do with recording and costs and all sorts of stuff that is we actually enjoy. It's different, but it's fun, and the label has been going really well for us, and it's something new that, well, we started only a couple of albums ago, but it's kept us busy in a different sense to just the normal writing and recording and touring and stuff. So all those things we work together as well as being friends. So as I say, we know when to give each other some space.
And is the Irish music community fairly supportive? Is there a mafia war back, you know, between you and Snow Patrol and the Script or something, or are you all very supportive of each other? How does it work?
I think there's a very, very good supportive feeling, you know, even for bands that you don't really know, like that might be in a different genre. Like I met Green, the singer of Fontaines DC, at a festival, and like obviously the Coronas and Fontaines are entirely different genres of music and different sort of social vibe as well, and you know, and lyrically would be very different, but like he was just straight over, and we just had a lovely interaction. And hey man, how you doing? And, you know, I bumped into him at a festival in the UK, so it was sort of like there's that sort of mutual respect of you're doing it too, fair play, and so even bands have different. But the likes of, I mean, we supported the Script only on say just after St. Paddy's Day this year, which was a lot of fun, and we've supported them a few times over the years, and they're Danny's a great guy, and I'm a big fan of Snow Patrol as well. We met them a couple of times over the years. But in general, like there is a lot of support. Like if you, like for example, Hosier, like Andrew Hosier Byrne is one of the nicest people you can meet in the industry. Like, and if you ever bump into him or see him, Dermot Kennedy the same. Dermot Kennedy's a lovely guy. Obviously, he's had a really successful few years. But both of those people are sweethearts. Like if you met them, there's no airs or graces. I think Irish people, a bit like the Aussies, we are humble, because if you're not humble, you'll have a buddy who'll tell you, hey mate, you're being a bit fucking arrogant there. So, and I think we have that sort of a similar vibe, but yeah, those guys are very supportive and really nice guys.
Yeah, I mean, Hosier, like it's when Take Me to Church came out, I was thinking this guy's going to really blow up, or it's going to be just two songs and then we won't hear much. But he has come off the biggest year of his life.
I know, it's crazy.
Doing arenas right around the world. He did Hollywood Bowl when I was over there on holidays, and so it's really good to see. And you're right, the Aussie music scene is very similar. They all prop each other up, and they're all supportive, and you might only bump into each other at a airport, but
yeah, exactly. There's that sort of nod and a wink. How you doing, guys? Yeah, and I think it's cool to have that, because you know, the industry is it can be tough, and it's very different to other careers, and you know, I think when you're in a band or you're in the industry, you get it a bit more of what it's like, life on the road and being away from home, and even just a little chat and a catch up with people at an airport is sometimes a nice interaction that, you know, we don't really get in our careers that much, you know.
So, what are you packing for your Aussie trip? Are you a surfer? Do you surf at all when you come down, or do you still
no,
you stay well away?
I'm not a surfer. I can barely keep my balance when I'm on stage. I'm so clumsy. I don't think surfing would be would suit me, but I do love sport. I mean, well, I went to see a footy game one time when I was over there. I love AFL. I play Gaelic football. Well, I used to play a bit of Gaelic football here, which is similar enough to the Aussie rules. And, and so I'd love to do that, but I don't know if I think the season isn't on then in the end of November. But I play a little bit of golf. That's my thing. Not surfing, but I try and swim. I know it's not a very rock and roll sport. But and last time we were over, myself and our drummer went and played 9 holes in the Melbourne Golf Club, and it was a lot of fun. But so we'll see. I'm looking forward to the good weather. We won't be packing much. We'll be packing swimming shorts, t-shirt, some sunscreen, and just having a ball.
That is the thing. It's like whenever you meet anyone from England and especially Ireland, oh my God, pack the sunscreen because we all burn.
Yeah. Oh, big time, big time. I'm very fair. Our bass player, like, he tans, but the rest of us have to be. Yeah, we look at the sun and we burn, so we got to be careful.
Now, you perform for President Obama. We all have nerves before we do anything, but imagine being that nervous to play for the president.
Yeah, it was strange. It was strange. We got to meet him after, him and Michelle Obama. It was a lot of fun. It was a cool thing to happen. Just one of those weird moments where you're like, what? How did I end up here shaking a president's hand? This is so bizarre. But it was a lot of fun, and it's a funny time for America at the moment. It's a scary time. There's a lot of mad stuff going on there. We're going off on tour there next month, and it's always been a place that I've loved touring, and I hope it's the same vibe this time when we go back, because they definitely seem to be going through a tough time at the moment, and a lot of I suppose unrest and like there is all over the world, I suppose, but it is it's a great place, and to play before Barack Obama was amazing. And actually our bass player has a funny story where he accidentally touched off Michelle Obama's backside, and
we've all done that.
And
that's fun.
yeah, and like he was so afraid that like all these Secret Service people were going to jump out and just tackle him or whatever, and like she looked at him and he was like, "I'm so sorry." It was like an awkward, Curb Your Enthusiasm moment, But but apart from that, it was lovely meeting them.
What's the security like before a gig like that? Did they check all your instruments and the roadie gear and like just to make sure there's nothing in there like a gun or something?
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, they're very. Yeah, there's a lot of FBI vetting going on, but that's why it's so bizarre, because it's like the polar opposite of our normal shows where everyone just walks in with their guitars in the afternoon, and the venue staff don't even ask you who you are. Like if you have a guitar in your hand, you must be in the band, So you just walk in and pile everything up on stage. But it was very high security for sure, and which, as I say, added to the strangeness of it all.
You come here, you probably got so many expats in the crowd. There's probably a whole bunch of Irish and British as well. You would hear the accents pretty clearly.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about playing in Australia, because you have the Aussies who are like looking at the Irish kids going, what the fuck, those guys are going crazy, because the Irish, the further they get away from home, is like the more patriotic and Irish they feel. Like, so there'll be way more Irish flags at our show in Sydney than there ever would be at a show here in Dublin or wherever, So they and like the further you get away from home, the more they want that piece of home, So it's we've always had a great mixture when we play in Australia between Aussies and the Irish that have emigrated there, which there, as you know, there's a lot of. So it's funny because we've been around a while, as you say, and a lot of the expats who have moved to Australia like will know our older stuff, but not as much our newer stuff. Whereas we go to America, the Americans don't know our older stuff and only know our most recent albums. And it's funny, we like the challenge of changing set lists for country to country and trying to play to the crowd that's there. In Europe, for example, we just did a tour of Europe and they really only knew the new stuff. They didn't know any of our back catalogue, and we were like changing the set after the first night, going, we need to play more newer songs. And then it's different in different countries, and obviously different size venues in different countries as well. But we love that challenge, and we love that buzz and putting the set list together. And as you say, we played Australia now a couple of times, so we think we know what the Aussies like now at this stage.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating because in the old days, it would take one radio DJ to make one song a hit in one city. And bands like Kiss, I think they told me that I Was Made for Loving You was not a huge hit in the States, but it was here in Australia because it just took one guy, And it doesn't work that way
that's
anymore.
Funny. Yeah, and that's funny. Even, as I say, with us, there'll be certain songs that do well. And with Spotify, you can actually see it as well. Like, I remember, I think we were in Europe. We were playing in Amsterdam, and Noxie, our bass player, we were talking about the set list before, and he could go into, like, what the Spotify numbers are in Australia. He was like, will we do this song or this song? And he goes, hold on, I'll check which is bigger in Australia, or in Holland, in Netherlands, up for that song. and you go, this one has way more hits here. And it's like, and so it's cool to have that feedback, and you can sort of see and as you say, radio is such a big thing. And for us in Ireland, we got so much radio play on our first couple of albums here. That's why those Irish who have now moved to Australia want to hear those songs that they remember from the radio, before they moved over, so it's funny how it's changed over time, for sure.
Oh, look, having that, the app, the Creators app where you can just go in and see, the different areas and see even just what people are listening to right now at this very moment, it would be so
it's crazy.
Bloody interesting.
It is, yeah.
And scary at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
At album release time. I know you're sort of doing demoing right now. Is there anything you put on sort of to get the juices flowing? Like, is there any artists you sort of lean towards putting on, or do you kind of just
Yeah, like on the way down, I'll listen to music, but it's anything that's getting me excited. Like, I mean, I love Gang of Youths. I love The National. I love Radiohead. I listen to old stuff as well. Adrian Lenker is amazing from Big Thief. I like her new record, and I'll just put on different things that I'm listening to at the moment, and see what sort of gets me excited, and try and sort of let it subconsciously inspire me, as opposed to listen to an album and go, oh, this sounds great, I need to write a song like that or anything. I would never do it specifically like that, but just enjoying music and get me in the mindset. And sometimes I think it is helpful for me to learn other people's songs. I figured that out by accident one time in lockdown during the pandemic. I was doing some covers on this piano here, and I'm just putting them up every night. And I found that learning other people's songs and other people's chord progressions was really good for me as a writer, because I was just seeing different melodies and different things, and maybe not going to my what I normally would do, and that helped me then be creative and feel inspired and write some newer stuff, because I was sort of, it was just sort of like training or exercise or whatever. So sometimes I do that, where I might just say, oh, I like that song. I might just like learn that song and just sing it, and maybe not even record it or whatever. But that might lead into a new chord progression or something else that might end up being one of my songs,
Or sometimes you accidentally end up doing a covers album because you've done all these songs.
Yeah.
It happened to the Rolling Stones. They did all these blues songs as a warm up, and they went, oh, we've actually recorded like 8 songs.
Yeah, well, I know our label guy in the UK would love if I did it for our Spotify numbers as well. He's like, what did you do? Because he was seeing me do all these covers just on social media over the lockdown. He's like, you should do an album, that'd be great for the Spotify hits. Just throw up a covers album. I'm like, nah, maybe one day, but no, I don't fancy it right now.
Tell you what, talking about Irish acts, I was at Coachella, back in April, and
cool.
Kneecap were there, and I went to Weekend 2, unfortunately, because Weekend 1, everyone was talking about them afterwards, and Weekend 2, I couldn't get in. It was just like the line was out the tent and down the thing, and like they got a huge reaction over those 2 weekends. Kind of like Amyl and the Sniffers, if you heard about that Aussie band. If you haven't,
I haven't actually.
You should. Amyl and the Sniffers, they're so good.
Okay,
but very different to you though, like very, very different genres.
Yeah, well, Kneecap are doing amazing, and I actually met Nisha, one of the members in Dingle last summer, and he's a lovely guy. And I had a brief talk about just bumping into people who are supportive. And again, a very different genre to us, but they are, they're doing really well. And the movie is awesome. I don't know if you saw their movie. It's actually really well put together. Michael Fassbender is in it, and it's a proper, like, it reminds me of Trainspotting. Like, it's that old school, fast paced Danny Boyle style movie, and it's really, really well put together. And they're a great band, and I mean they're obviously very topical at the moment there. And people ask me all the time, "Oh, do you ever think about writing about politics?" And I always sort of say that our music is an escape from people. And I know we touched on how America can be a bit messed up or whatever, but we tend to not write about politics at all. And I think it's not really. as I say, I feel like our music is meant to be an escape for people from what's going on in that craziness of their lives, and whatever their beliefs are, and whatever their political standpoints are, and whereas Kneecap, they write about social commentary. They grew up in Belfast. They grew up around that sort of thing was what inspired them, and so I would see us very different in that way. But I have a lot of admiration for them and how they talk about what they do and stand up for those things, those political views and stuff. So it is. It's great to see them do so well, and hopefully they'll continue success.
And hopefully we'll see them over this way pretty soon as well. Well, before you go, I do want to ask what is in the rider, because I've got to ask you that question, obviously, for obvious reasons. Are you? Do you get local beers, or do you get a bottle of Jameson, or what do you cram in there?
Yeah, we always get some local beers. Our tour manager is gluten free, and I know it really annoys the local rider staff when they have to go and find gluten free beers for him as well as the regular ones. But a few waters. For the big shows, we'll put in a bottle of whiskey. So I'd say we might save that for the third show of the Australian tour, as opposed to, because we've got 3 in a row in November, starting in Melbourne, then Sydney, then Perth. So it's going to be a busy few days. So, but definitely on the third night we will crack open the Jameson, and chocolate. Like, I'm obsessed with sugar. So I'm almost asking our manager to take the chocolate off the rider because I eat it all, and jellies, Haribo or whatever. Like, I'm like, just limit the chocolate, like, because I just eat it all. Like, I'm terrible.
If you like Haribo, have you heard the stories or seen the videos on TikTok where there's Haribo sugar free apparently, and you can't you can't get it very widely, but apparently it makes you shit yourself if you have if you have too many of them. So people on TikTok are going, "All right, I'm ready for the challenge."
Brilliant! Oh, that's so good. And I would not be able to stop myself. So whether I wanted to or not, I would be shitting myself. Yeah. That's good. Thank you for the warning, by the way.
Yes,
I'd see that sugar-free stuff and just go over it. Like,
it's the ultimate prank. Just have a handful, maybe 2 handfuls. I don't know. But we'll see over here November 21, 22, and 23, and that's a fairly that's a quick tour. So Melbourne, Sydney, then Perth, then you're on the Big Bird back to the UK and Ireland. And look, we can't wait to see you. And look, it'll be here before you know it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Becko. It was great to chat to you. I really enjoyed it. And we hope to see you in November. Should be fun.
Tell you what a great bloke. And I can't wait to see the band live. The Coronas are coming down to Australia November 21, 22, and 23. And go back and check out some of the albums over the years you might have missed as well. Give the Rider a follow on Instagram, The Rider Pod. Next week, a massive up-and-coming band out of Byron Bay. I saw them at the Monday Bash a few years back. Discovered by INXS manager Chris Murphy many years ago, and they are going to be making waves, not just here but around the world. Next week, we catch up with the Buckleys. We'll catch you back then. This is The Rider with Becko.